Man, I don't think I can state it enough, but I love my Wii U and 3DS. So many great memories already, and so many more to come. It's easily some of the best Nintendo hardware out there, with such exclusives like Super Mario 3D World, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Maker. Well, that went by quick. Wait a minute. What's this? The eShop won't be closed until 2023. Oh shit, there's time! Alright, let's talk about death. The Nintendo 3DS and the Nintendo Wii U, two of the biggest Nintendo consoles in the early 2010s, with one selling pretty well and the other, well, now you can definitely tell why they're dead. But no matter what, both consoles had their fair share of great titles, and it's definitely sad to see that soon enough, both will be forever stuck in time. It first started with the death of Miiverse, and now with the discontinuation of Nintendo eShop, it's definitely hard to see these childhood consoles of mine being forgotten by Nintendo. But from a business standpoint, it makes sense. The Switch is selling like hotcakes right now, and I'm going to be honest, the only times I played my Wii U and 3DS last year was just to get Zelda footage, and that's it. But still, that doesn't give Nintendo the excuse to just pull all these legacy titles from the shop and have no other legal way to play some of these games, especially with games like Super Mario RPG or various Game Boy Advance games. Now, there is always emulation, and while I don't mind doing the dirty deed every now and then, it still sucks that there's no way at the time of this video to have these games officially unless we sell our organs or all rush to the eShop and buy as many virtual console games as we can. And that's gonna suck for anyone who gets a Wii U or 3DS after March of 2023, but then again, who the hell is buying a Wii U in 2023? But while I can complain on and on about how this sucks for the consoles and the consumers, I think I want to give more of a positive goodbye for these systems and take a look back at what made them so special for Nintendo in the early 2010s. And this isn't going to be a big retrospective on all the achievements these systems made, but more so a quick look back at what made them so special to me and a bunch of other people. Starting with the Nintendo 3DS. The Nintendo 3DS released in 2011, it sold like shit. It probably didn't help that the system started at a rough $250 and was shortly cut to $170 in a few months. Customers that did buy the 3DS before the cut did get rewarded with 10 NES and GBA games, which was cool, but I personally didn't get my hands on the 3DS until 2012 with Super Mario 3D Land. And technically, it wasn't even my 3DS, it was my older sister, so you can imagine most of my time as a 10-year-old was,
I'll trade you a Swiss roll for 3 hours, please.
But even with the limited games back in the day, the 3DS offered a bunch of cool built-in apps that I couldn't get enough of. I always messed around with the sound app and made my voice as annoying as possible, and even recorded some early videos on the camera app. Looking back, this probably wasn't the best way to do it. I also remembered spending countless hours playing with the AR and Face Raider games. It was always a fun time getting my face and using it as an enemy or just posing different Nintendo characters in ways that shouldn't be possible. And we can't forget the Mii Plaza with Puzzle Swap and Find Me, which required players to find other people with 3DS systems via Street Pass, and they could use their Miis in swapping puzzle pieces or fighting in an RPG setting. Or you could shake the system like a damn animal for about 20 minutes and get 10 step coins a day to purchase pieces or heroes. And I remember doing this most of the time because every time I took my 3DS somewhere in public, I never got anyone in the Street Pass because I guess I live in a 3DS is for losers town. But these apps were just mere distractions for the actual big games that 3DS had to offer. Super Mario 3D Land, 2 Zelda remakes and 2 new Zelda games, a multitude of Pokemon titles, and even Smash Brothers on a handheld for the first time. And the system even had their own selection of Mii-type games, with Tomodachi Life and Miitopia, which was always a pleasure to see. And of course, we can't forget the best 3DS title, Prepare Yourself. Yep, that is shit in your pants. Overall, the 3DS had a wonderful selection of games, and on top of that had 3 different revisions throughout the span of 9 years, so it's kinda easy to see why the system sold pretty well. It also has something that the Switch would fear. Actual menu themes. Don't look, honey! But 1 year later, Nintendo finally released their next big home console, the Nintendo Wii U, which confused so many people. Is it a new console or an extension to the Wii? I mean, it plays Wii games and even has a Wii system within it, but it's HD now and now it has this bulky ass tablet. This reason and the lack of third-party support is a huge factor in why the Wii U failed. And while a bunch of people looked at it as one of Nintendo's worst consoles, I think I may have a different opinion. Alright guys, I gotta get something off my chest. But it's gonna be a bitch. Damn it! The Wii U is probably one of my favorite Nintendo consoles, and I think a big reason behind that is because of this word right here. Nostalgia. I originally got my Wii U in December of 2014, and I played the effing heck out of it. Since it was technically my first ever console that I owned for myself, I played it as much as I could as a kid, and I put way too many hours into things that shouldn't be that long. Like, tell me when you find another guy with 76 hours in Nintendo Land, or how about, oh god. Well, seeing how the Wii U was technically my first experience with the internet on my own, you know I spent a good time on it watching YouTube and looking at sexy pictures of Luigi. It even had a feature for you to close the curtains on the TV screen to hide whatever you was looking at. What was that?
Nothing.
But there's no denying that the Wii U had one big flaw. It was slow as shit. I didn't really realize as a kid, but going back at it now, this console was really slow at opening up games and navigating through the menus. I just want to look at sexy Luigi pictures at a fast pace, damn it. But even with this flaw, the Wii U still gave birth to many great games. The games I personally played the most hours of were Hyrule Warriors, Super Mario Maker, Smash Bros, and weirdly enough, Disney Infinity 3.0, which was a whopping 403 hours. I guess I really liked making stuff. But it also had some of the best with Mario Kart 8, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and its final big hurrah, Breath of the Wild. Similar to the 3DS, this console had a great library of games, and while most of these games are already ported to the Switch, some may be forever stuck on the Wii U once the eShop closes for good. I'm looking at you, Zelda HD remakes. But one big factor that both of these systems had was one that was sorely missed with the Switch. Personality. Every time you opened either the Wii U or 3DS up, you're greeted with some dreamlike music and a nice, organized menu. Sometimes you may see your Miis running around and talking to each other, or see that your icons turn faster when you blow into the microphone. These little details and the amount of different music in each app makes these two systems have this childlike wonder to them, and it's definitely something the Switch is lacking. And there's one app that did this extremely well. The Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShop. I mean, look at this. This is something I loved looking through as a kid. There's a reason why I have 37 hours on the eShop, because I would just look through and see the little cheap games I could buy until I was able to get enough money for another big title. This was honestly where my love of indie games started, and that's a huge reason why my Switch is mainly an indie machine at the moment. And the best thing is the shopping music. Unlike the Wii or DSi shop, the music in this app changed depending on the season. It had more festive music in the winter and more spooky music around Halloween time. And even if it didn't have any occasion to celebrate, it would still change the music every now and then and include some absolute bangers of menu music. Even the more calm and softer music of going through the settings is a great tune to listen to. Now, let's compare this to the Switch. Well, at least I can't get lost. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind the simplistic and modern approach the Nintendo Switch took, but I highly doubt anyone at a party is gonna say, "Yo, bro, turn on the Nintendo Switch eShop music." Oh, hell yeah! And I think that's something that was lost during the transition between the Wii U and the Switch. During the Wii U and 3DS era, Nintendo showed their childlike personality like crazy and experimented with a bunch of new things. I mean, the Wii U has a TV button which controls almost any TV. Like, this wasn't needed, but it's still a quirky thing to have. But I can see from Nintendo's perspective that things needed to be changed, especially after the flop of the Wii U. So Nintendo took a more modern approach and gave us the more sleek and simplistic Switch, which, like I said before, I don't mind at all. The Switch is probably my most played console of all time, but I still can't help but think that Nintendo took away something special from the Wii U and 3DS. I mean, even just adding menu music and themes would help the Switch out so much for me, but as for now, it just stands as a silent, dark themed tablet for my enjoyment. And that was my personal look back at the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS, and what made them a special part of my childhood. It's definitely sad to see these systems go after such a long time with them, but I can always cherish the memories I had with them and keep them forever. And if I hurry, I could buy every single game on Nintendo eShop and be the ultimate Wii U owner, starting with the recent release, Captain U. And this is why I have no bitches.